Hello there. Here we are with issue 27, and we're going to do the review of issue 27. Let me just swap out my glasses here. Getting old, ladies and gentlemen, getting old. Before we get started, I want to make an announcement. Many who, there might be quite a few that watch this who already know this. And those that don't already know this, you probably don't know this person, but I wanted to announce the passing of a really good friend of mine and many others within a certain YouTube community, mostly Fallout 4 builders and whatnot. Shell Bjorg, he passed away, I believe, either um, on the 10th or maybe the 9th. I found out about it on the 10th, which is today for me. Not today, the day you're watching this. Um, but I believe, from what I heard, he passed away from cancer, and I can't tell you how sad I am about this. I can't express that enough, and how big of a loss this community will have with him passing. Shell was a guy that it didn't matter what kind of video you put out. I could put out a video counting these screws, and he would come in, he would watch it, and he would leave a comment. He would leave a comment on, as far as I could tell, every video that he ever watched. Um, I know many have said that he's watched all of their videos. I believe he's watched all of my videos up until, I'm guessing, when he got sick. It's been a while since he's been able to comment and on any of my videos. Maybe he was watching them and wasn't able to comment because of how sick he was. And I'm really sad that I did not realize how sick he was. I didn't have a way to contact him outside of Discord and the normal kind of YouTube methods. But he was always somebody that when he commented, he was very insightful about how he would comment. He would um, post like the timestamps and make specific comments about that timestamp, and it never failed that at least once uh in his comment he would come in with some sort of something like a silly question, but and then he would ask this question, and they weren't silly by any stretch of the imagination. Sometimes they weren't really related to the video. Sometimes they were, and I tell you, every time I would get a comment from him, I'd just get a big smile on my face. And in fact, I was just watching some of his videos on his channel. If you're interested in going to see what kind of stuff that he did, you're more than welcome. He would do some streaming and some other video stuff. He was an amazing Fallout 4 builder. He liked to use mods and that kind of stuff, and he did a lot of really interesting and very creative things when he was building. And it saddens me to think that I won't be able to chat with him in Discord anymore. And other than watching his videos, as long as they're still up, I won't be able to hear his voice anymore. And I definitely won't have any comments from him on any of my videos, and I won't be able to chat with him in other people's streams. And so that saddens me greatly. So if you know Shell, then you would know how sad not only myself but many others in the community are. Uh, he's one of those people that um, no, there was nobody that did not like him. Like if anybody didn't like Shell, they didn't know him or they were flat out jerks themselves. So everybody that knew him loved him, and he was a great person. I think all the way down. Um, Personally, I know he did a lot of jewelry making and that kind of stuff, and um, from everything that I've heard, he did great work. And so, not only this community but the world has lost a very special person. So, um, yeah, I'm pretty sad. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and dedicate this video to him. And if I can get the time, and I'm going to try to make the time to maybe do a Fallout 4 build video and dedicate it to him as well. And that's where I met him, is through Fallout 4 and the building community. And so I think it's only fitting for me to do something and maybe dedicate it to him there. So um, I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. And I know this video will take run a little bit longer than some of the others probably, but you know what? I don't care. It's important for me to remember my friend. So before we get started here, let's bop over and take a look at the details and um, the details and the data regarding this video. Okay, so here we are with the details from issue 27. So we had one video. We did the corridor and the frame in this video. Total time was 1 hour and 36 minutes. We had 3 videos and a total record time of 51 minutes, but the video length was only 21 minutes and 33 seconds long. We used 14 screws. We glued 2 pieces on, and here's the paint we used. We used our primer, our German gray, flat black, wood brown, and leather brown. And of course, we don't know what our bonus video length is yet. So again, we had 21 minutes for the video length. Here's our different videos. So our first part was 4 minutes 50 seconds. We had 22 minutes and 33 seconds, and then 23 minutes and 56 seconds. And we took 45 minutes off camera. So that's how we got the total time of 1 hour and 36 minutes. And let's have a look here we have a total of 44 videos for this entire build so far. We're up to 135 total video captures. Number of captures, we're at 23 minutes and 30 seconds for total video time. 23 hours, sorry, and 30 minutes. 75 hours and 17 minutes total build time. And our average video length is 23 minutes and 4 seconds, or 32 minutes and 4 seconds is our average build or video time. So it's coming down. We're up to 155 total screws used and 410 total glued pieces, and we've used 168 micro brushes. Right around there. That's pretty much an approximation. That's a new word, by the way. All right, so let's head back and get into the review of this issue. Okay, I hope you are enjoying that. I know if Shell was here, he would tell me how much he was enjoying not only the data aspect, but these videos here. He rather enjoyed these. So let's go ahead and talk about the Super Star Destroyer Executor. So we did talk about Star Destroyers and Super Star Destroyers, but it's this one's specifically about the Executor and gives us a little bit of details regarding the origin of them. Um, so basically, the Emperor had ordered the construction of 4 Star Destroyers, and for some reason, he had to provide false specifications to the Senate committees to hide the true cost and the scale of the project. And the production had begun before the Battle of Yavin with the intention to supplement the fearsome capabilities of the Death Star battle station. And so that was pretty interesting. So um, the false information was that it was between 8,000 and 13,000 meters, which would have been massive by any stretch of the imagination. But the true size was 19,000 meters. So that's pretty crazy. So let's go ahead and go through the specifications here. 19,000 meters long, maximum speed is 40 megalights. It's got a Class 2 hyperdrive and a Class 10 backup. And then it's got a whole bunch of weapons. So it's got 2 shield generators. It's got a titanium reinforced alu steel hull. It's got 2,000 turbo laser batteries, 2,000 heavy turbo laser batteries, 250 heavy ion cannons, 500 laser point defense cannons, and 250 heavy concussion missile batteries. The thing is ridiculously massive. So it had 13 engines on the back of it here, and yeah, so by all means, it was huge. Um, so one of the things was that the engines were 50 times Executor's 50.x engines were able to drive the ship through space at 40 megalights with an acceleration of 1230 G. Um, somewhere here, with standard Star Destroyers using uh, as much pure energy in one jump as many planetary cities did in a lifetime, the energy required to propel the Executor into light speed was magnitudes more, so significantly more. Somewhere in here, it talks about the number of people that it had to have oh, here we go. So the number of personnel. I don't quite remember the exact numbers for Star Destroyer was something like 28,000 or something. So Super Star Destroyer had 280,734 gunners, officers, and enlisted men, and it could transport another 38,000 troops for planetary deployment, and carried supplies for 300,000. So it was a massive thing. The uh, the bridge was virtually identical to the standard bridge on a Star Destroyer. So in that regard, it was the same. So uh, it was designed by Lyra Wessex and the team behind the successful Venator and Imperial Star Destroyers in an effort to outdo and improve upon such ships. It was consciously designed to instill fear in the enemy using terror styling as it became known. For larger than any, far larger than any other ship in the Imperial fleet, with superior range and more offensive capabilities than anyone could imagine, the vessel was designed to have a minimum of weaknesses and a maximum impact. Another downed super weapon was not part of the Emperor's plan. So basically, after the Death Star was destroyed, it these were rushed into service, and everything was sped up. And of course, the Executor became Darth Vader's ship, and he took that as his own, and that kind of thing. So the destruction of the Executor, if you don't recall, so basically it crashed into um, the second Death Star, and that happened when a damaged A-wing went spiraling and ran into the bridge, and basically because the bridge was the only place that you could fly the ship from, they lost all control, and as a result, it just basically dove into the into the side of the Death Star. So that was pretty crazy. A little behind the scenes action super scale. Initially, the Executor was intended to be another configuration of the familiar Arrowhead Star Destroyer, no longer or larger than the other vessel in the fleet. However, during production, the design was altered and the scale of the vehicle enlarged, making the ship much more imposing than the various escort destroyers that surrounded it. The construction of the Executor model included the insertion of tens of thousands of fine fiber optic filaments to light the vessel from the inside, and fans to keep things cool due to the temperatures created by the high intensity lights, much like the model in the mothership in 1977's Close Encounters of the Third Kind, or the Millennium Falcon itself, which had tiny champion spark plugs, uh, which had a tiny champion spark plug sticker transferred onto the ship's hull. The Executor also featured some ILM and jokes. The most visible of these was a tiny toy soldier. So I didn't know that there was a Champion Sparkplug sticker somewhere on the Millennium Falcon. That's pretty interesting. I'm guessing we won't see it on this one, but and somewhere on here there was a tiny toy soldier. That's pretty funny. All right, moisture farms. So this was pretty interesting as well. So basically, they're evaporators, and what they would do is they would suck in all the moisture around them, and then it would use high high intensity cooling devices to cool it down, causing the condensation, and then it would gather up that condensation, and then it would be transferred down into help irrigate the underground hydroponic gardens where fruits and vegetables were grown. So basically, these were pretty much needed for when they settled onto Tatooine, and because that was pretty much the only way to get any significant moisture there. So um, it could get condensation, which even forms where the humidity is as low as 1.35%, is collected on the bars and eventually drops into a collection chamber. Here, the water is analyzed for purities or impurities, and then pumped into the underground reservoir from where it is eventually collected. So, under ideal circumstances, each evaporator is placed at least 250 meters away from each other so maximum performance can be achieved. In more arid areas, such as the Dune Sea, at least 500 meters is advised to separate them. So they'd be separated quite a bit. And of course, we know that they needed to have droids that could speak binary to repair them and that kind of stuff, because that's the language that they were used to do that. So, um, and most of these were, uh, protected from by security locks and scanners. The locks can be opened with brute force, sand people and Jawas. And other scavengers are always searching for water, and the Tuscans especially steal regularly from the evaporators. So they were protected. However, that wasn't enough to really protect them. Droid workers, so that's what I was talking about with the binary. Since evaporators communicate in binary and are often in need of repairs, moisture farmers use different droids to help them with their daily chores. A group of evaporators is often linked to a patch-in droid unit to communicate with them, but isolated evaporators need a droid to translate binary. Repair droids, such as Wed Treadswell, if you guys have been watching The Mandalorian, the most recent episode had a Treadswell um, droid, which I thought was interesting. A little Easter egg for you. Uh, help out in the repairing of the evaporators. While KPR servant droids help to maintain the security and installation of the farm, power droids can be found in almost every moisture farm, providing the necessary ambulatory power. When a farmer is lucky enough, a Jawa sandcrawler stops near his land and offers him a more intelligent astromech or agromech or even a protocol droid. Wonder what they're talking about there. Historic design. The first technical drawing of Star Wars was Peter Child's design for the moisture evaporator. The prototype was known as the oil rig Christmas tree because of the elaborate lights and because George Lucas compared the moisture farms to oil prospectors. The evaporators in A New Hope were duplicated 4 times and were made of plastic and plywood. One was featured in a scene with Luke and the Treadwell WED 15-77. In this scene, Luke is inspecting the evaporator when he notices the battle between the Tantive 4 and the Devastator and rushes to Tashi Station to tell his friends what he has seen. This scene was dropped from the movie but can be found in the novelization and comic adaptation. In the special edition of A New Hope, evaporator was added near the house of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And that's what they're showing here. Also, if you've seen the deleted scenes, you'd see that scene that they're talking about. So you can see the one that they added to Obi-Wan's place. Because in reality, they didn't show Obi-Wan's place from the outside. They only showed it from the inside. So that's moisture farmers or farms. All right. So in our Secrets of Spaceflight section, we're going to talk about the gun controls for the ground buzzer cannon. So this is the one that comes out of the hull, and we saw it in Empire Strikes Back. So, one of the things that I thought was interesting was that it can be It's a semi-automatic anti-personnel blaster cannon that they hid inside the hull, right? So one of the things was it can be fired basically automatically, or you can control it via remote or from inside the cockpit. But one of the more important things is that uh, it fires 12 rounds per second. I'm trying to remember where I saw that, but it can fire 12 rounds per second. Here we go. The AX-108 is able to produce 12 energy bursts per second, making it highly effective against multiple armed assailants. Uh, the ground buzzer's installation was a direct response to Han Solo's experience of blasting his way off of Mos Eisley Docking Bay 4. Only his speed and skill with a hand blaster had saved the Falcon and her passengers from the Imperial sand troopers, so Han and Chewbacca vowed never to be surprised again. They had specifically configured the retractable surface defense blaster to provide support while the ship prepared for takeoff. Um, so Blastech, uh, I don't remember where I saw it, but somewhere in here it talks about how Blastech, the Empire wanted to make their stuff exclusive to the Empire only, but they decided to stay neutral and they sold to everybody. That's how Han was able to get it. And so this kind of shows how when it came out and then it turns and it starts firing. So there you go. There's that. And then this is kind of breaks it down a little bit. And here we go. Arms manufacturer Blastech Industries stayed neutral during the Galactic Civil War, despite the Imperial pressure to sign an exclusive deal. As a result, the company's weapons could be found in the hands of both the Empire and the Rebel Alliance. While the company was most famous for its sidearms and rifles, Blastech also made ship-mounted weapons, including the AX-108 ground buzzer, auxiliary blaster cannon, larger turbo lasers, ion cannons, and missiles. So there you go. And it could auto uh, target and all that kind of stuff, and which is helpful when you're firing 12 rounds a second. That way you can move on. A little behind the scenes action here is the art of surprise. And they're running away, says director Irvin Kershner in a commentary on the DVD release of The Empire Strikes Back. So lots of explosions, lots of sparks, and they just about make it, with poor C-3PO trying to keep up with them. But it's pretty hard for actor Anthony Daniels in that suit. Poor C-3PO always left behind. This becomes a running gag, and you need running gags to create humor. Another running gag, according to Kershner, was the Falcon's temperamental nature, and here is Han Solo always in trouble with his ship. Now you noticed when he banged the ship that all the lights went on. Well, that's one of the oldest gags in the world. Here's a high-tech thing that goes faster than the speed of light, and he gives it a hit on the wall, and all the lights go on. But the humor conceals a desperation, and Han promises his ship has a few surprises left. A lighthearted mood is punctuated the instant the hatch concealing the ground buzzer opens, the weapon drops down and starts taking out Vader's troops. These are the moments I was trying for, Kershner concludes as the troops scramble for cover. Pretty cool. All right, one last little bit here, and it's talking about the backdrop. And so the port corridor, which is the part that we worked on here, right? That's this part here. The port corridor leads to the port airlock and the docking hatch used to rescue Luke Skywalker, but it does not feature in the action. It is most prominent as a backdrop in the scene from Episode 5 where the two droids bicker about fixing the hyperdrive. So you really don't see much in it. So um, I think when I go ahead and do this, I'm going to go like all the others. I'm going to paint some black in here to kind of mark where they walk most of the time. But I think I'm going to do a little bit of experiment. I'm going to try it with my airbrush and just see what kind of results I get. Uh, so I figure it's not going to be seen as much. So because it's going to be back here and the angle to see it's going to be different and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to try that out and see what happens. So there you go. That is the end of issue 27, the bonus part of it anyway. You hopefully have already seen the build part of it. So there's issue 27. In issue 28, we'll get the ring for the other side. We'll get the archway. We'll have to do the archway, which I will do all that off camera. And then we'll get the top part of that corridor where we'll paint that and get the cushions put in. And then, of course, we get some more framework and more hull plating. So that is issue 28, and you'll have that coming up. I don't often do this, but I want to go ahead and say, look, if you guys are enjoying this, slap a like down below. Lets me know that you guys are enjoying these. Uh, and I would really appreciate comments. Just anything that you find you know interesting or what have you. Like I said, if you're enjoying it, just throw a comment down there and say, hey, I am liking this or whatever. If you'd like to see me change this up a little bit, let me know. I could start throwing in some of these fascinating facts out of this book here. I talked about this in one of my other videos. So I could always throw in some of these that might be interesting as well. Um, and yeah, so we can make this more enjoyable. And finally, again, I want to say, express my sorrow for losing my friend. Um, uh, you know, uh, Probably not as sad as his family is, and my heart reaches out to them for sure. So, with that, I want to say, Shell, you will be missed, and until I see you again on the other side, may the force be with you, everyone, always.